because it'll be less than a year ago that I was in hospital and I didn't want my kids to come and see me. And then within a year, they're going to see me cross the finish line, running a marathon, hopefully with a world record.
Welcome to part 2 of my conversation with Cam. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, I recommend you go back and watch that first because his story starts somewhere you would not expect. In this part, we get into how running became a way for Cam to feel like himself again, and how that then led to him to take things to the next level as he prepares to run a marathon and attempt a world record. We talk about the hardest moments along the way and a message that every kidney warrior needs to hear. I'm your host, Dee Moore, and this is Diary of a Kidney Warrior podcast. Let's go.
Diary of a Kidney Warrior podcast in partnership with Kidney Care UK, sharing faith, knowledge, hope, and love.
2 days after I had my central line removed, I ran the Shrewsbury Metric half marathon.
Before we go any further, just a quick reminder. Everything we share on this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not medical advice. Always speak with your own healthcare team about your individual situation and your health. Sorry, 2 days.
2 days. I've not run. I mean, this is 6 months after not being able to walk. But I was like, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to do it because it's there. It's in front of me. I can do it. So I did the Shrewsbury Metric half marathon.
Sorry, I have to come back. 2 days. So what did the doctor say about that? What did your medical team say about that? Or didn't they know?
Well, they sort of knew, but they just laugh at me, to be honest. But I still had the like surgical bandage on the wound of doing the run.
My goodness, what?
Yeah. So, but I wanted to do it. It was in my head. It was a target for me. It had been this like emotional target that was the mountain that I needed to climb. And I was climbing that mountain regardless of what anyone said. So I did it somehow. It was 8 miles, so it's not like huge distance, but it's still 8 miles of running. So I did that and I finished and I went, that was all right, but what can we do that's like people are going to go, Jesus. So I said to my wife, I was like, I reckon I always wanted to do the London Marathon. And I was like, I reckon I can get into the London Marathon with my story. So it was a bit of like, I'll use the story to my advantage and get in to do the London Marathon. And then they didn't do it, London, to be fair. I wrote to them and I was like, look, I'm trying to do this amazing thing. I wrote to like the chief exec of the London Marathon and all these people. And they responded and said, we haven't got a place for you. And I was like, oh, fair enough. It was worth a try. And then I was like, actually, like it's got, a fair few people have like got behind it and said like, what an amazing thing it'd be to do. So I thought, okay, well, why didn't I do a marathon? And while I'm at it, why don't I try and set the world record for a patient on dialysis running a marathon? Unbeknown to me at the time, I didn't think I'd do it. I think there'd be loads. There's only a record of 2 people doing it, basically.
Wow. I mean, you don't do things by halves, do you? I mean, 2 days after having, I still can't get past that. And then to go on to actually want to do a full marathon. I mean, we know on the podcast, one person that's completed a marathon as a dialysis patient, and that is Maddie, who we've interviewed on here on the podcast.
I've spoken to Maddie. She's amazing.
She really is.
She's absolutely amazing and an inspiration for me. And yeah, unbelievable woman.
And so now you have this aim of doing a marathon and not only completing a marathon, but wanting to do a record time. So going back to like the process of it all then. So obviously doing your metric marathon is one thing, but a full marathon, what were your doctors like saying about that? Did they have any objections to you going for a full marathon or were they supportive?
Yeah, so the only thing the doctor said to me about running the marathon was that I should listen to my body. I.e., if you're not feeling well, stop training. It's probably the worst thing anyone could ever say to me because as I, as I was saying to them the whole way through, I was like, you don't need to tell me to get up and go for a walk. You need to stop me like doing too much. Um, but I kind of took that on, and I so what I would say is, and this isn't going to be for everyone. Like I'm obviously fortunate enough with my condition to be able to go for long runs and do lots of exercise. And I know not everyone with you know with kidney failure will be able to do that. So this isn't me saying everyone needs to start running marathons. But it has made me feel infinitely better from where I was. And I don't so that and I know you get an endorphin rush from exercising, and I know that makes you feel better. But I am genuinely convinced that I feel almost normal day to day because of the work that I've put into training for the marathon. I think if I hadn't done it, I'd be more unwell. And I don't know what I don't, there's not a message to that. And I'm not standing at the top of I'm not trying to stand on the top of the mountain and say to people, get out there and do whatever. I think what I'm saying is like being active for me has helped enormously in my journey to recovery. And I would recommend it. I think that's what I'm saying, I think.
And I think that that is really important because, like you said, we are people first before we come into it. And like you said, before you ever became a kidney patient, you were a runner. And so to recapture that part of yourself is very important. And why shouldn't it be?
Yeah. No, I agree. There's the mental attitude as well that a lot of the kind of recovery for me has been that I'm quite a proud person generally. So being ill, like, you know, is not somewhere I want to be. So, coming back to work and running with my mates and all that stuff, just doing all those normal things has been quite important for me to like get back on the straight and narrow to feel normal. And I know that, that might sound a strange thing to say, but, for my own mental health, feeling normal is quite important. So if I can live a normal life, but kind of recharge overnight like my phone, I can, I can live with that for the time being.
No, I really do understand the importance of that and what you mean by that. And for everyone, their normal is different. And for you, running is part of your normal.
Yeah.
So walk us through what the training actually looks like. I mean, how have you found managing your training around doing your dialysis?
Yeah, so I do the dialysis overnight. So time wise, it's kind of okay because I'm not going to run in the middle of the night. So I run 3 times a week, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Wednesday and Friday are generally shorter runs, and then Sunday's been a longer run. The hardest bit about it all has been and is the hardest thing, I would say, pretty much exclusively across kidney patients across the world, is managing my fluid balance. And that has been really difficult. So the problem is when you know, I find it's all over the place. So I'll go for a run and I generally sweat out about a litre an hour of fluid. So I clearly can't just not then drink and not then I've got to get that back in somehow. Um, but then often I'll go for a run, sweat loads, and think, oh, I've been good and I haven't drunk too much, so I'm not going to be overloaded. And then I weigh myself the next day and I'm like way heavier than I ever thought. And then I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? So the hardest bit around it is managing the kind of the fluid balance and managing your weight consistently to make sure you don't become overloaded. Because I'm like hyper paranoid about that after my 25 litre uh, overload time. But I mean, just with, I weigh myself before and after a run. So I know how much I've lost. So I know how much additional fluid then I need to take on. Um, I wouldn't say I've had to. I quite like eating pasta anyway, so I haven't had to change my diet a huge amount. Um, and then just the normal stuff like time, the time it takes to go and run 30 kilometers is a long time when you've got young kids and you're working. Finding the time to squeeze it in around, your medical appointments and your full-time job and your two young kids and setting up your dialysis machine and all that stuff has been a challenge, but it's kind of all over now and we've got to run it next week. So the time for talk is over, as they say.
So, have there been any moments in your training where you thought, I can't do this?
Last night. I did a 5K run home last night and I was like, God, that was hard. How am I gonna run 42? But I mean, look, it's way harder than it used to be, and there's no doubting that I'm going to struggle out there running around 42 kilometers, and I'm probably going to hate it every minute apart from the finish. But I'll do it.
So, tell us about Kidney Care UK. Why them? What does this charity mean to you personally?
So for me, it was kind of I wanted to raise money for a charity that offered kind of more, pastoral care for people when they have, kidney problems. Um, I'm fortunate enough that I didn't need to call too much upon them aside from some counselling services, which they were very reactive to. There was always someone that picked up the phone whenever I called. Uh, and there were the various things that were offered to me. I didn't need them in the end, but the various things that were offered to me to help with the kidney journey, I thought was fantastic. Things that people wouldn't think about, like the amount of fluid as a home dialysis patient you have to store. I've got a basement, so I can store it in there, but a lot of people don't. And kidney care offer you know kidney care offer grants for people to put sheds in their back garden, store the fluid and things like that. And I just thought that was a really nice thing. And if I could help, even in the small way that we are, um, to add some money to the coffers, then for me that was a positive impact that I'd be having.
So, your sponsorship page is live right now. So, where can people find it and what will the money be raised go towards?
So the sponsorship page is on a platform called Enthuse, and the team that we're running for is called the Dialysis Dashers. So it's me and four mates that are running a week on Sunday. We've raised the money raised we've kind of said to kidney is at Kidney Care's discretion. But I'd hope it would go towards some of the services that I've found really useful, particularly the counselling service. They've got they've got they've got people there that have actually been through this, whether it's themselves or whether it's family members, and speaking to people like that who have been through the mill with it, is very helpful. So if we can, add some resource to that service that they offer, then that would be amazing.
So we're in the final days now. How are you feeling physically and mentally? Be honest with us.
Physically, I'd say I'd like to feel a bit better, to be honest. But it's hard to predict how you're going to feel day to day, isn't it? Sometimes you feel a bit sluggish and lethargic. But I know I've put the work in, so I know that there's fitness there that I'll be able to get round. Mentally, I'm a bit nervous because a lot of people have sponsored me. I would classify as some people have put their hand in their pocket and sponsored me with quite a lot of money. So that brings about its own nerves because you don't feel that you don't want to let them down. And then the thing, I keep getting really emotional about it because of where I'll get emotional now talking about it, but I get emotional thinking about crossing the finish line with all my family there. Excuse me. Because it'll be less than a year ago that I was in hospital and I didn't want my kids to come and see me. And then within a year, they're going to see me cross the finish line, running a marathon, hopefully with a world record, which, as you can tell, brings out the emotion in me. So that's how I'm feeling about the whole thing. I'm quite proud as well. If I've had a few messages through social media from people saying, "We're seeing you do this. We're about to start dialysis," and it's made me a lot calmer about it, and that makes me proud that people have been able to see what I've gone through and what I'm doing, and made them less scared about the journey that they're on. If I can do that to one person, then it's all been worth it, frankly.
Absolutely. This is the power of sharing our stories and our experiences, is that it gives hope and strength to others. And it's really encouraging. It's really wonderful to see that that is what's happening with you now. And also, like you said, when you cross that finish line, that hope and encouragement that it will give to others, celebrating with you that achievement, is wonderful. And I can't wait to see when you've crossed the finish line and you're celebrating with your family, and when you've achieved this world record. I'm really excited for you.
Yeah, I've just got 42 kilometers in the way.
So what does dialysis feel like in this final week? Is it harder than usual, or do you feel like your body's adapted?
To be honest, I feel like I was talking to the nurses about it the other day. I feel like it's pretty much adapted now, as in my body has got used to what's happening to it. So um, my blood scores are pretty stable. Uh, all the things we record when we're doing this, like your output, urine output, and your UF, which is the amount of fluid that's removed out of your bloodstream overnight. All those scores on a daily basis now are pretty regular and pretty stable. So I've got that to a place where there are no fireworks, which which is quite nice. But it's quite a nice place to be, isn't it? When you're a kidney patient, like, firework free life is normally, stability is quite nice. So we're kind of there at the moment, and um, hopefully we just have a normal week. We've decided to stay at home the night before just to avoid any, avoid forgetting any mini caps for the for your catheter type thing. So yeah, we're all fine in the run up um, on that front.
What has been the single hardest moment of this whole experience? The moment that almost stopped you?
From running the marathon,
Yes.
it takes quite a lot to stop me. What's been the hardest moment? I mean, I never. There's no single moment I don't think where I've gone, this is going to stop me. The There are elements of frustration that creep in that are natural, and you just think, what am I doing? Um, I think for me, that's normally related to when you do something like, I've never done it, but if you ended up like touching the end of your catheter, or you get like, you know, your exit site is looking inflamed and angry, and you have to go back into the hospital, um, and then get seen. Uh, that kind of brings it all back. But hell or high water is not going to stop me doing this next Sunday. Something pretty serious. I'd have to be admitted to hospital with something for it to stop me, and then I'd still run one 2 weeks later. Like, it is happening. It's like my sister rang me a couple of nights ago, and she was like, Cam, just like, if you're running this, like, you're not what you used to be like. Like, it's really important. I cut her off and said, what, that I finish it in a world record time? And she was trying to say, like, it's really important that you like stop if you're not feeling well. But it feels like I'm going to sound a bit righteous saying this, but, and I'm not meaning to, and I'm not meaning to sound like Jesus or anything like that, but this marathon's not about me running it, and it's not about me setting a world record. It's nothing about that. It's about, as I said to you before, it's about people seeing it and realizing it can be done. And it's about that message that this is not, although it might feel like it at the time, this is not a death sentence. Like, you've said it, people say it in different ways. Life's for living. We've got this. It's called life support, but we've got this solution that means we can keep living our lives to its fullest extent. That's what this means. That's why I'm doing it. To prove that it is a reality, that is possible for us kidney warriors.
That's such a powerful statement to make. It is possible. And you're showing everyone, you're showing the world what is possible. And for the kidney patients out there who are listening, what else would you like to say to them?
I'd like to say that despite all the scariness that's thrown at it, and thrown at you when you have to go through this, life can be as you want it to be. You can live, like, you can have a happy life with your family. You can do all the things that you did before. I was skiing in the French Alps last week. I was probably I'm a dialysis patient with kidney failure in the French Alps. We had a fantastic week. We went out for all the lunches that we normally do, got my kid up skiing. We went to Disneyland for 2 days after. We as a family are living a normal life, and that is possible for you if you are in a similar situation. Are there additional administrative tasks that you have to do to manage your life? Yes. But if you, my wife summed it up to me a couple of times. She said, well, look, we all have to eat food, otherwise we die. We all have to drink water, otherwise we die. You just have to do something else. And that's the reality of it. Like just think of it like brushing your teeth before you go to bed, or, making yourself a healthy dinner. Like, for us, it's just something we have to do, and you can live normally and be happy. It's not the end of the world.
I like that. I like that. I like what your wife said that. I'm going to borrow that definitely. So, looking at the race day and beyond, what will you be thinking about as you cross that start line?
I'll probably get into like geeky race mode when I cross the start line, and I'll be thinking about pace and fueling, carb load, eating my carbs and taking my gels and not running too fast and all that stuff. And then I'll try and enjoy it the best I can, I think. I'm running it with a couple of mates, and then we'll, once that's, yeah, just try and enjoy it and get round, really. That's the plan. Nothing too complicated.
So, what happens after the win, the struggle, or anything in between? What's next for you?
Well, the hope is that I have a kidney transplant at some point. So um, I'm eligible, hopefully, to be referred onto the transplant list in May. Uh, who knows when that'll happen? There's a couple of people waiting in the wings to hopefully give me one, but I know that's not straightforward. So let's say that happens at some point in the future. I've got half an eye on the transplant games. I quite like the idea of that. So watch this space, I guess. that that's yeah, I don't know, transplant football or something like that is my target. I'd love to contribute or do something in that arena in the future. But keep trying to spread the positive love, I'd say, and do a couple of challenges on the way.
And a final reminder for everyone watching and listening who wants to sponsor you, tell them exactly where to go again and what they're giving to.
So we're running for Kidney Care UK, raising money for all the amazing services they provide to kidney patients and families. And our page can be found on the Infuse platform. And the team is called the Dialysis Dashers. If you can't find it, visit my Instagram page and there's a link in my bio.
And as always, I will put the links in the description box for all of the sponsorship information. So please do support Cam. Please do give towards Kidney Care UK, which is the most amazing kidney patient charity. So please do support. So, Cam, today you've shared your Kidney Warrior story and you've shared your journey as a kidney patient and now your journey towards completing marathon in a record time. And we're 100% behind you and know that you're going to do amazing. So, my final question is, what is your final word of encouragement for the listeners and people watching?
My final word of encouragement would be, don't let anything hold you back. Challenges will always be thrown your way, and they might be small, they might be large, but as we said earlier, it's amazing what us human beings and what us kidney warriors are able to deal with. So look at those mountains, climb over them, knock down those walls, go and do whatever you feel like you're capable of, because you almost certainly are.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for all that you've shared. Thank you for your tenacity and your determination to complete the marathon. And like I said, I'm 100% behind you, and I'll be thinking of you every step of the way. So all the very best for the marathon and beyond.
Thanks very much, Dee. It's lovely to talk to you.
I'm rooting for Cam every single step of that marathon, and I know you are too. If you'd like to support Cam and the Dialysis Dashers, you can find the sponsorship page link in the description below. All proceeds go to Kidney Care UK, who do such incredible work supporting kidney patients across the UK. And to everyone watching today, if this conversation has shown us anything, it's this. Kidney disease is not the end. It's not a full stop. It is the beginning of a new chapter. Until next time, take care and choose to live.
Diary of a Kidney Warrior podcast in partnership with Kidney Care UK, sharing faith, knowledge, hope, and love.